Okay, trying not to jinx it, but since I got several bullseyes the last time I was on my target, the last time that I was on it using the thumb draw, practicing the Turkish method, holding the arrows this way, sliding it down into place. Ha! Right there. That one went right in the bullseye. And yes, I will prove it. Right there. So yeah, I'm not just gonna take extra practice shots and then wait until then to bring the camera over and record again. I'm going to be showing my actual results. Alright, so this time I'm out with 4 arrows at a time, including that one, because I don't want to use too many arrows at once. And this time, I'm pointing my camera not diagonally at the target, but this way you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm not taking myself too seriously. I'm not trying to overthink it, but I'm just following what the instructions, well, I don't know if instructions is the right word, but the details that describe this particular method say in Saracen Archery. That's what I'm going by. So let's say you got your arrows in your quiver and you just want to reach for them like that. Draw them out this way. And so you've already got them down quite a ways. Granted, they would be, in the old days, probably out here. And so your draw hand would be further along, so I'll just bring it about this way. So you got the arrows held about 2/3 of the way down. So instead of having them go up here the way a lot of archers, I think, these days tend to do when trying this method out, is to instead have the arrows held halfway. So you just slap it right up against the bow. Not too hard, but, you know, just right into place. And you've got a good foundation here with the thumb and the first 2 fingers. Okay? So you bring it up right here, catch it, and that's when you start adjusting the draw hand for the thumb draw. And so when you're holding the arrows, if you're doing it one by one, you got them held between the forefinger and thumb, and you got the middle finger on the groove of the nock. And so yeah, not the best results yet. I'm still a bit of a beginner. I haven't shot thumb draw for quite a while. But considering that this was the first arrow that I shot, you saw me shooting this one first. At least that's a good sign. Now, here's the thing that has had me curious for a while, and it just got me thinking. If Saracen Archery describes the arrows as being held this way, and it's been around for so long, why would the other archers be holding the arrows like this? All the way down your arm, where, for one thing, when you hold the arrow here, you've got a longer pass, so to speak. And so the nock is way further down to grab, draw, and shoot. If you could hear that, that's the feathers rustling. So, kind of like that. So, halfway is good for starting, especially for starting. But also, you know, 2/3, if you can work your way to that, if there isn't so much weight hanging off, then that's even better. Because then you just bring it right up and then right into place. I heard that when applied correctly, this is supposed to be, you know, a really fast method. But, of course, the book also says that it takes a lot of training and repetition to get this right. Of course, most modern archers, unless they're in, say, a horse race, or not a horse race, but on a track where they're on a horse and shooting at targets using the thumb draw with extra arrows in their bow hand, or like this in the draw hand. A couple of things occurred to me that might have led to the arrows being held this way, at this length, instead. So, my first idea came from something that the book also says. That the point of this, the idea of this, is so that way your draw hand is basically inspecting the arrow without you having to look at it. Because you don't want to shoot an arrow that's dangerous. You don't want to... Let's say you're doing this and you can feel that there are cracks and splinters and such along the arrow. You want to make sure that it's not damaged or, you know, defective. Or let's say you get down all the way to the nock. The rest of the arrow's fine, but let's say you get down to the rest of the nock and it's split open. So the point of having the draw hand do this movement is to inspect the arrow without you having to look at it, and so then once you're satisfied that it's good, you slide it into place, lock, draw, and shoot. I'm guessing that maybe it developed into holding the arrows this way for some people, because this way you're getting a lot more of the arrow shaft under inspection. That makes sense, and I guess it appeals for much longer distance. If you're not necessarily going for speed, but if you're going for distance and holding extra arrows. Whereas, well, as opposed to if somebody's coming right at you and you've got the time to hold it like this and slide it in this way. That makes sense, and I'm pretty sure there are some archers who have done it this way. I've seen a few videos of trying to see if I can get his name right, Dr. Murat, who holds his arrows very similarly, holds them closer. As far as I can remember, don't quote me on that. I haven't watched his material for quite a while, so I could be off. But if anyone has any commentary for me, you know, feel free to put that in the comments section. You know, the more input, the better. But, so yeah, those are a couple of things that came into my head when I was thinking about that. When I recognized it in the tutorial, in the book, and was wondering just how it would evolve from holding the arrows this way to today's practitioners holding them this far. Like, what's the appeal? What's the advantage? Because that wouldn't just happen overnight. Okay. So, now, there are 2 arrows in the target, and they're both bullseyes. So now, I'm going to hold these 2. So I'm not going for 3. When I'm doing these experiments and just practicing with my 30-pound that I don't even need a glove for. I do typically need my thumb guard though, because my thumb isn't conditioned the way that my fingers are. So I do still need my thumb guard for my 30-pound. I've got a few of these, but this one stays on a lot more securely. So if you want my advice when picking out a thumb ring or a thumb guard, get something that has a strap or drawstring, something for your wrist so that it will actually stay on and not fly off your thumb. Alright, so I'm trying to do this without looking at the target, and so middle finger on the groove of the nock, slide it forward, bring it right back. Woo! Okay. Okay, so this one's really close to where if it was a competition thing it would count as a bullseye, but it is still in the red, so it's not quite on the line. And yes, this is the last one that I shot, and I'm keeping these 2 in to make that a goal for right now. And my new target, I got that on Amazon, and it is still right now quite good at holding the arrows. So yeah, see, I'm fumbling with it. See, that's why it takes a lot of practice and repetition. Woo! Dead center. Yeah. Now, of course, you don't want to get a big head when you're doing this. One thing that I heard is that ego is the enemy of an archer. This interview that I saw of these practitioners of Ottoman archery who really went in depth about the history behind it, and they like had there was a very spiritual aspect about it as well in the Islamic cultures of the time, in Turkey and Ottoman Empire and what have you. So one thing that I try to do is to keep in mind, one, ego, enemy of an archer. So try not to let it get to my head, because you just might jinx yourself. You might miss. Okay, so right up against the bow, eyes on target, slide it right down, middle finger on the groove of the nock, slide it forward, and another bullseye. And so no, I am not gloating. I am just glad that this is working, that I'm not as clumsy with it, that I'm actually working on controlling myself. See, that's another thing. Self-control is a very, very important thing, no matter what method that you're using with a bow, whether you're using 3 fingers, if you're using Slavic, or if you're using the thumb. Definitely when using the thumb, I'll say that, because for one thing, when using the thumb draw, you got pretty steep learning curve. And with this, because you've got one digit on the string and less string pinch that lets you draw back even further, the more you do this, the cleaner of a shot. Whatever type of katra happens, whether you do it by yourself, using something, either something like this, or if you just keep a relaxed grip. For example, yeah, that's what I do. I'm barely trying when it comes to a shift like this. I just let the bow do it by itself, because, you know, I mean, with drawing back, you've already got 30 pounds of kinetic energy stored up. You let go, and so it's just gonna follow the arrow, and when the string reacts to it, that amount of force is just gonna do it by itself. Not to discredit anybody who does a type of technique like this. When you've got this kind of thing happening, rather than putting more energy behind the arrow, it's meant to reduce friction. So it's not like you're doing things like this to give the arrow more power. It's to reduce friction, to reduce the amount of energy lost from the arrow rubbing against the side of the bow when it flies. So that's just another little tidbit, food for thought. Okay, let's see those target results. All right, now we got about a hand-sized group. So yeah, after quite a few practice shots, I'd say this is going pretty well. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad that it occurred to me to give this a try, because it's working. Okay, I'm gonna retrieve those arrows and see how many more practice shots I can get in before it gets dark, because the sky is already... I can already see the moon right up there. And it is sunset. So I'm gonna just grab those, and I might need to turn the exterior light on in the basement. I don't know. Well, I mean, I might not do me all that much good. I'll have to see. But yeah, just so I'm just gonna practice and conclude this video. And so yeah, I hope you find this helpful as well, and see you next time.